All right, awesome. There's the house. This is uh, one of our longest videos. This looks like it's going to be over 20 minutes. And we're checking out the farmhouse on 20 acres at Panther Hollow. 20.41 acres, the survey says. It's got a new roof on it. New architectural shingles, I should say, on the house itself and the well house that you can see just to the left there, lower left. Really interesting property, and we'll talk a lot about it because we've got 20 minutes coming up here. But it's the original farmhouse for this tract. Originally there was about 800 acres within this farm, and this is the house. The original portion of the house dates, we're told, to the early 1900s, maybe even the 1800s. And there you can see some of the machine sheds and the shop and whatnot. The original portion of the house, and you can still see part of it within there. Now we're zooming out, it's hard to explain it, but the original portion is actually hand-hewn log cabin, and you can see at least one of the walls when you get up to the house. We're backing southwesterly with the drone. There you can see the two ponds. Excuse me. The road on the north toward the top, that's the easement road that borders the whole northeast side of the property. And then you can actually kind of see the driveway that comes off of the easement road and kind of curves around to, I guess you'd call it the front of the house. Beautiful property. I mean, it's just stunning. Partially open with grass and meadows, and then also quite a bit of mature timber, including some gorgeous black walnut trees. In fact, everywhere we went around the yard, we just kept seeing black walnut trees, which are valuable trees if you're not familiar with those. So we're still kind of looking northerly, flying southerly, or I guess looking northeasterly, flying southwesterly. We're roughly over the southwest side of the property. You can see a creek bed in the middle there. So the property's the lowest in the middle where that creek bed is. Rises up as you go northeast to the house and the buildings, and as you go southwest, which is where the drone is right now. It levels off on the southwest side. If we were to look down, we'd see that, except that it is heavily wooded. Looking down the power line there, awesome for hunting. If you're a hunter, you're very familiar with a nice wide power line like that for a shooting lane. Okay, so we're coming down here. I'm thinking we're trying to get a look at some of the timber here on the southwest side. We really haven't explored much of the property other than the buildings on the northeast side. But it's probably a safe bet to say that you're going to have some gorgeous timber. Those look like walnut trees down there, actually, just looking at those leaves. We've found some beautiful trees on this farm. That's the little creek bed that crosses over the middle. And so we had a wintertime drone video where the creek was running, and then in this video, which was taken on a very hot week in the summer, the creek bed was dry. So what we actually did is, coming up in a minute here, we've spliced in several minutes of the wintertime video that shows the creek running, and then we'll pop back to the summertime video. It's probably one of the reasons why we've got this supersized video here, is we've spliced in that additional part, which will be coming up in just a minute here. And there's the creek bed, which flows easterly and eventually flows into Bryant Creek. We'd been out to the farm several times throughout the last year. There's just been no rush to get this on the market. And the creek had been flowing most times. It just was not when this was taken. It would have been quite dry. And in just about 4 or 5 seconds, we're gonna magically pop over to the wintertime drone video, which should start in about roughly the same spot. There we go, that's perfect. Wintertime video is great because you can kind of get a good look at the ground, at the timber. In the summer when everything's green, that's really all you can see, but I think we're gonna get right down onto that creek bed and have a look at that. The ponds on the property are gorgeous. I mean, it's just almost a magical setting when you're up at that house, standing on the porch, looking out at all the beautiful trees and meadows. It's just awesome. We see deer practically every single time that we're out at the farmhouse or in the yard out there. We'll see deer. There's the creek running. Little spring-fed creek, which comes in from the west and then flows easterly over the property. I don't know how close we're going to get. Yeah, you can see it's very clear and flowing nicely there. And looking a little further to the north, it looks like, on the property. And that's the creek as well, of course. It's kind of an interesting natural creek bed. It goes from a gravel base, like you can see right there, to a larger rock base. It's kind of a cool feature to have. And there you can actually get a good look at some of the mature timber on the property. That's the nice thing about the wintertime drone video, is you can see the actual timber rather than just the leaves. Okay. So that was cool. We got to take a quick look at the creek while it was running, and then we're going to magically pop back to the summertime video again, which should pick up in about the same spot. And then I believe we'll fly up and check out the house and the yard and the buildings and all that stuff, and we'll talk about those a little bit too. Oop, there we go. Yeah, that worked well. So it was a little bit overcast, it looks like, when this video was taken. So we don't have those bright blue skies that we normally have out here. But we're still going to get a good look at this. So obviously that's the house there. That smaller pond is actually a newer pond. That was done just... Our guys had the dozer out here working on some other stuff in the road. And I believe the main dozer guy said, you know, that would be a great spot for a pond. And we said, hey man, go for it. And he did, and it's already holding water, which is good to see. And then this pond, we call this the larger pond. I don't know if it is larger. Once the new pond fills up, the small pond might be the larger pond, and vice versa. But what we're trying to do here is get a look at the dam on this older pond, or bigger pond, because it's very well constructed. It's got a major, like 8 or 10 foot dam on the south side. Tough to really tell with the drone video with no scale to tell how massive that is, but it's a very well constructed pond. Up on the right, up on the hill, that's the machine shed, or hay shed. They probably used it for both. And obviously there's the pond. It looks like it would be deep enough to support fish. May have to clean it out, get a small excavator and scoop it out a little bit. Hard to say when the last time it's cleaned out was, to get your depth to support fish in there. And I would guess the new pond will support fish as well once it really fills up. There's some hay equipment on the right. and that would have been in use not that long ago. It's half a dozen years maybe since this was an active farm. Um, and there's the newer pond like we mentioned. It looks like it has a green tint in this video, and when we did the ground video, it was similar, but when we got up to it, it was actually quite clear. We think it was just maybe some pollen that was in the air, or maybe it's just got a green tint. Who knows? Okay, so now we're over at the road frontage on the essentially the north side, and we're looking easterly, more or less, at the property, which is on the right side of that gravel road. And there off to the right, you can see the driveway, which kind of comes in at an angle and curves around to the, I guess you'd call it the front of the farmhouse. The gravel road that borders the northeast side of the property, that continues for about another quarter mile, and then it there's a cul-de-sac. So I mean, it's a very, very low traffic road. Panther Hollow is extremely private. There are about 20 or 30 tracks out here. Gorgeous, gorgeous setting. They've got the pretty basic property covenants in place as far as concrete foundation and that kind of stuff, just to keep the area looking super nice. The setting for the farm is great because you've got your buildings with grassy meadow all over, but you've got timber kind of buffering all the buildings. You've got those big mature trees. So you're going to have shade throughout the year, you're going to have privacy, and that's something that farmers figured out many generations ago, is leave the trees in the yard for a lot of reasons. Okay, so we're coming in at about the northeast corner, and we are daring to fly the drone with no line of sight by all these tree branches. So I'm not sure who's flying it, but they're braver than I would be. There you're seeing some of the walnut trees. So many mature walnut trees, black walnut trees. It's just not something you see much. They're a valuable tree, and they tend to get logged when they get to the size that these trees are. There's a cattle feeder on the right. So you've got the pond on the left, and if we turn right in a second, then you'll see the what we'd call the machine shed. And then just on the other side of that, we can't see it yet, is the shop. So the machine shed is partially open. Beyond that, you'll see the shop, which is fully enclosed. It does have the entry door, of course. A couple old trailers on the left. You're welcome to do as you please with those. And then we kind of snuck in the back way here. We're coming through the gate into the yard. There's an older shed on the left, which is actually kind of cool when you look at it. Might be good for storage or maybe a chicken coop, who knows. And then obviously there's the house, and we parked right in the way. Whoa, that was close. Okay. So hopefully we look up. There we go. Cool house. Like we mentioned earlier, that the original structure appears to have been hand-hewn logs. And if you get, I don't think we'll do it with the drone, I don't think we're able to, but if you get under that particular porch and look up, there's a part that was kind of left exposed, and you can see some of the original log walls, and then it was added onto, most recently in, I believe, 1999 or 2000 is when that addition you see there toward the left with that newer looking porch. That porch has actually been redone at the same time as the all the shingles on the roofs, which was about a year ago. but that is the new addition on the left. It's a couple of bedrooms, a bathroom, and then a living room and a dining room. You've got, not over the addition, but over the other part, you've got a very kind of small second story with one of those pull-down attic ladders to get up there. Could be good for storage. Excuse me. But it is kind of cool. Monster oak tree to the right there. We noticed that when we were in the yard. Okay, so we're looking at the newer part. This was, like we said, probably built in 99 or 2000. The siding is in good shape. It just really needs to be pressure washed. The sides of the house that don't get a ton of direct sun throughout the day tended to have that kind of green mildew on the siding, which always happens. But that would be pressure washable, I'm quite sure. Up on the roof on the right, that's a rooftop air conditioner. And we had had this place for quite some time, and then finally one of the guys the other day flipped it on, and it worked great. We just never tried it and had never turned the breaker on. It's actually running in this video. And that serves the newer addition and the kitchen area as well. And then the original part of the house is kind of designed to either be opened up, or you can slide a door and kind of shut it off, and that way they could have just heated and cooled the newer part and the kitchen if they wanted to. We think that's what their design was. So you can see, as we mentioned, the shingles are essentially new. They're about a year old. They're good architectural shingles. The well house right next to the house, that roof was leaking, and you can see that inside the well house. Check out the ground video to see that. But that's got all brand new shingles on the roof as well, so that's in good shape now. Okay, here are the on the left is the shop, on the right is the machine shed or the hay shed. I guess we're not gonna look at those as long as I thought we would. But the shop is very usable. It's got an entry door, it's got 2 sliding doors, it's got power with lights and outlets, and a breaker box, a 220 plug-in for a welder. I mean, it's very usable. And then the larger building, the machine shed or the hay shed or whatnot, is kind of 2 buildings that were built together. It's got a 3-sided portion with a normal gable roof, and then they added on that slanted roof portion to it. So all told, that bigger hay shed is about 40 by 60, and then the shop is about 30 by 50. Don't know if there's power in the hay shed. We actually didn't look. There's probably not, because there'd be no reason, but the shop was a working shop. I mean, that's got all kinds of outlets and lights and all that good stuff. What a unique property. I really wish we knew a little more about the history of this. We know very little. And obviously you can watch the other videos to see more of the house and the yard. That tiny structure, if you look straight behind the truck, kind of catty corner behind the house to the right, we always thought it was an old storage shed, but when we really look closely, it could have been, who knows, an additional residence. You can't even see it it's very small and it's an awful shape, but the guys left it just because it's kind of neat. A lot of old rough cut lumber. I guess we're not going to look at it. We're checking out the shed. So that's the shop. You can see the entry door at the bottom there, and then the sliders are to the left of that. And then if you see the smaller building with the gable roof, that's attached to the slanted roof building, and that's the what we call the machine shed or the hay shed. You can see all the mature walnut trees even from the air because they have very distinctive leaves. Kind of longer, almost pointier leaves on the walnuts. Toward the right, upper right, is that little structure we were talking about. That looks like it might have been a, mother-in-law cabin 100 years ago. It's hard to say, but the guys left it because they thought it was cool. Just an awesome property. It is an old farmhouse, so it's going to need work. It was used, like we said, this property was farmed and used until a few years ago, and then the owners kind of got a little older, I guess, is our understanding, and they moved away. We're not sure if it was winterized. I think the guys have had the water on, but I don't know if they've gone through and checked for leaks. So they just generally keep the, excuse me, they've kept the water off. But the well and the pressure tank are in the well house right there, as is the water heater, as is the washing machine from what we could see. And then the dryer, there's a dryer in the house. We don't know if either one works. The washing machine did not look like it worked. It looked like it was maybe being repaired. Just a cool property. There's that monster oak tree in front of the newer edition. Wow, we are really going for it. If you see that row of chairs toward the back of the yard, look like spectator seats. Those were on this porch when we got the place, and we were going to throw them out, but one of the guys kind of looked at them, and they on the back, they're like old fiberglass chairs from the 60s. They had the name of some aeronautics company, so he set them to the side. I think he was going to keep them and try to redo them, and then he forgot about them, so there they are. That's why we're thinking this edition is from 1999. We knew it was newer, and that is the family name Gott, the ones that had this place. And so we think when they did the addition and they put that step there and put the year and their name in it. So that's what makes us think 1999 on the newer part. And then the original older part, I mean the log cabin, that could be 1800s. What a property. We've never had anything even close to this cool. I mean, this is awesome. Again, the house will surely need a ton of work. Like any farmhouse, you're gonna have the first couple weeks or months of fixing stuff. If you are, going to get in and use it, and that's just par for the course. But gorgeous tract. Oh, now we're checking out that. See, that's a black walnut tree, and there's a walnut. They call them black walnuts. They're green until they fall off, and then the actual nut inside is darker. What a cool property. Check out the other videos on the listing page for sure. We go through the house. I'm sure we go in the shop and all that stuff. Oh, there we go. So yeah, check out our website to see if this property is still available. If it is, you can get a hold of us. We can answer any questions. Like we said, we don't know the history on the house. We can tell you what we know, and that's about it. Yeah, we're here to help. So give us a call, send us an email. We would love to hear from you.